Hello, beautiful people. I want you to do me a favor today. I want you to think about your weaknesses and your strengths. And then I want you to think about your weaknesses and how you can make them your strengths. Because we, as human beings, have a tendency to drift towards the more negative things when it comes to our internal well-being. And it's not that we do it on purpose, it occurs naturally. We're in a social world where we're always comparing one thing to another, one person to another. You know, you grow up in school with like these social cliques and everything like that, and you know, say like you're not one of the more popular people and you just idolize the populars and you want to be like them so that you could fit in with them. But internally you're sitting here thinking, oh well, this isn't good enough, I don't have this, blah 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 blah, I am this way and they are that way. But the best thing that you can do for yourself is to take all of those little things that you thought were not good enough and switch them, turn them around. Those things that you think are your weaknesses could very well be your strengths one day. Like for me personally, I have ADHD, and as I've gotten older, it's gotten pretty bad. It's gotten pretty bad. And, you know, with ADHD, I have things like impulsiveness. And that's something that I've struggled with for a long time. And I also have rejection sensitivity. I've dealt with that my entire life. And very often people turn around and tell me, like if I really, really care about someone and I just want them to know that I care about them, that I love them, and they're a wonderful person, and this is what I think of them, and I want them to be amazing, or I want them to feel amazing, so I give them that. I feel like that combined with the impulsiveness makes people, you know, turn around and see the things that they thought were so great about me in the beginning. The amount of times that I've been told that I am too much, all the way back elementary school. I've always been seen as too much. And that's okay. Because ironically, one of those people, before they told me that I was too much, when I told them about this issue, they told me that if I was too much for someone, that person was not enough for me. Which I thought was kind of like an interesting perspective on it, but it's something that's really stuck with me. Because I'm never going to see someone as if they are not good enough for me. Because in my eyes, everyone is good enough. Even the worst person has a part of them that is good enough. They just don't know how to unlock that, to achieve that good enough, you know? And really, good enough is not a good way to put it, because I feel like it has such a negative connotation around it. Because you are enough. There's no good enough or bad enough. You as you are, as you grow, are enough. You need to be enough for you. And that's where, you know, the perspective of taking your strengths and switching them around to see them, or no, taking your weaknesses and switching them around to see them as your strengths really comes into play. Because telling me that I'm too friendly or I'm too loving, yada yada yada, telling me that that's too much, I mean, that's fine if you think that, but to me, I see that as a strength. I like to make people feel good. I like to let people know that they are cared about. I like to let people know that they are loved. And I want the best for everyone. And I used to look at that like I was so dumb to feel that way, to think so highly of other people when people thought so lowly of me. But I'm not dumb for that. I think that's honestly a really great thing. And I need to hold that confidence. Because why should I let the rest of the world, who has nothing to do with my life, control my life, my perspective of myself, who I am as a person? If they aren't here, if they aren't contributing to anything for me, my life in any way, paying my bills, building me up as a person, being my homie, whatever. If someone is not contributing to my well-being, then their opinion doesn't matter. Even if I value them so highly, the opinion that matters the most is mine. And this is coming from someone who has grown up anxious, insecure, defeated, depressed, constantly feeling like I was never going to be a good enough person because no one ever thought that I was. And, it has led me down some pretty dark paths. Having a perspective that way that's so negative on myself when I could very well see it for what it is. I am who I am. I appreciate the kind of person that I am. And I struggle with it every day, but I'm working on it. Like my weaknesses of loving too much, my anxiety that comes up sometimes, I fight that every day. I battle it. And I don't mean that in a way that's like it's taking over my life. Like, I used to have really, really bad panic attacks. Like, it was like almost a year straight, I was in a constant panic attack. At least 6 months. I was having panic attacks constantly, around the clock. There was no perception of time for me. There was no day and night. There were not days at all. Everything just blended together. Because the panic attacks were so bad. Because I let my anxiety take over my whole life. And I saw it as a weakness. That made me so small in my mind at the time. But I can tell you from going through that experience, the amount of strength and wisdom that I have gained along the way, the things that I learned about myself and about the world around me in those moments of the panic attacks and in between, the insomnia that I endured because of it, gave me a lot of time in the spaces in between to think, because I was so isolated, because I couldn't be around people. I couldn't even be around the people in my house. Yet at the same time, I needed them around because the isolation I felt made it worse. But I feel like because I went through that experience, I grew a lot, just as a person, individually, spiritually. I ended up reconnecting with God in that experience, because the way I was living was not great at the time. The decisions I was making were not great. And I admit that. It happens. You gotta go through things to get through things, and you learn from bad decisions. You learn from good decisions. Everything in life is a learning situation. And everything that I've learned from the negativity, I have learned how to flip it and turn it into a positive thing. Because it's who I am. It makes me me. It taught me to grow. There's nothing wrong with that. That's good. Growth is good. Change is inevitable. Growth is optional. That's what someone told me recently. And it really stuck with me. And it's really all about perspective. How you look at things. How you look at yourself. When you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror, what do you see? I started putting things on my mirror in the bathroom. And I started putting affirmations down the side of my bathroom mirror. Sorry. Anyway, I put affirmations on my mirror, and they tell me the wonderful things about myself that I tend to forget in the day-to-day. Like that I'm kind, and I'm honest, and I'm exuberant, I have big energy. Sometimes. Most of the time. Inside. Pretty mellow on the outside sometimes. But I don't know. Just shower thoughts. What are your weaknesses? How can you make them your strengths? That thing that you thought is so bad about you, how can you turn that around to see how it makes you great? What do you learn in those moments of weakness? When I'm really depressed, it's a horrible feeling. It's such a negative thing, depression, you know? But in my depression, I find that I can write some of the most beautiful, thought-provoking things. And I'm coming up in my season of depression, because I have seasonal depression. I mean, I have depression in general, but during the winter months, it's really bad. It's really, really bad. Or it has been in the last few years. But I think that my perspective on it really, I mean, my environment played a part, but my perspective on what I was feeling made it what it was. It was a negative thing because I let it be a negative thing. But, I mean, this season, I know it's going to happen. It's in my blood. It's in my brain. It's in my chemicals. I'm going to have my depressional episode, or my depressive episode. But what I'm going to do this time is this. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to talk. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to read in my moments of quiet, because there will be a lot. There will be a lot of moments of quiet. And I'm going to take this sadness, this overwhelming sadness, and I'm going to turn it into something beautiful because I can. Because I have power over that. My power of perspective can completely dictate the way my whole life is going to be. And you can't take that away from me. No one can. And no one can take it away from you. It's all about how you look at things. It's not a weakness. It's a strength. But you have to do the work. You have to think about it. And you have to realize what the strength in that weakness is. Because you're amazing. Whether you believe it or not, whether the people around you think so or not, you are fantastic. And you need to see that for yourself. Because you are a beautiful person. You just need to unwrap it. Think about those weaknesses. Turn them into strengths. And learn the power of perspective. And then have an absolutely fabulous day today.